वागर्थाविव सम्पृक्तो वागर्थप्रतिपत्तये जगतः पितरौ वन्दे पार्वती परमेश्वरौ जगतः पितरौ वन्दे पार्वती परमेश्वरौ.
In our last talk, we had seen how Manmatha has come to Sthanvashrama, the penance grove of Lord Shiva. He is accompanied by two persons, Madhu, spring, and his own wife, Rati. And as Kalidasa beautifully notices the psychology of women, he says, Ratya cha sashankam anuprayataha. She was full of apprehension because the opposite party whom Manmatha was to attack now was a most powerful enemy, as it were. So Lord Shiva is the greatest among sages, and it is against him that Manmatha has turned. It is both ironic and portentous that Manmatha himself declared that she could disturb the mind of even Shiva. Kuryam harasya vipinakapanehe dhairya chutim. So it is as though he has invited trouble for himself by this tall claim. And even as these three people presented themselves in Sthanvashrama, one could see very many changes visible there. Tasmin vane sanyaminam muninam. So for the sages who were known for their self-control, tapas samadhe pratikulavarti, this spring, this onset of spring was something that went counter to the kind of focus and concentration that is required for the performance of their tapas. Madhur jajrumbhe. So the spring reigned supreme now. It is an untimely spring, as Kalidasa himself notes later. It is akaliki madhupravritti, the onset of spring out of turns. So the sequence of the seasons is violated now, and there is a sudden onset of the spring season. So Atmanam Adhaya, presenting himself, the spring shone. So Madhu himself is described as Sankalpa Yoner Abhimana Bhutam. So he is a matter of pride for Manmatha, and it is because of him, banking upon him, that Manmatha achieves his glorious tasks. So that is the context of the verse.
तस्मिन् वने संयमिनां मुनीनां तपस्समाधेः प्रतिकूलवर्ती संकल्पयोनेः अभिमानभूतम् आत्मानमाधाय मधुर्जजृम्भे तस्मिन् वने संयमिनां मुनीनां तपस्समाधेः प्रतिकूलवर्ती सङ्कल्पयोनेः अभिमानभूतम् आत्मानमाधाय मधुर्जृम्भे आत्मानमाधाय मधुर्जृम्भे आत्मानमाधाय मधुर्जृम्भे.
There is a sort of an ecological disturbance, as it were. The seasons are suddenly changing. Now, as was described earlier in the previous sarga, on account of Tarakasura also, there was some impact upon the seasons. All the seasons, as it were, served simultaneously for the benefit of and the pleasure of Taraka. Now, there is a sudden onset of the spring season. The spring springs into action, and as a consequence, the features of the Vasanta Ritu are showing themselves now. Kubera Guptam Dishamushna Rashmau Gantum Pravrutte Samayam Vilankhya. So transgressing his time, Samayam Vilankhya. Dig Dakshina Gandhavaham Mukhena Vyalika Nishwasami Votsa Sarja. As it were, Uttarayana has begun. So the sun has now begun to shift from the south towards the north. So the northern direction is known as Kubera Guptam Disham, the dik that is protected by Kubera. Now we have the 8 directions and the 8 dikpalakas. In the Amarkosha there is a listing of the 8 directions and the 8 dikpalakas. Kubera Isha Patayaha Purvadinam Disham Kramat. So Indro Vanhihi Pitripatihi. Indra is the Lord or Dikpalaka of the eastern direction. Vanhihi Agni of the Agneya Dik, so which is the southeast, and then Pitripatihi Yama of the south, and then Nairuto Varuno Marutu. So Nirriti of the southwestern direction, Varuna of the western direction, and Marutu or Vayu is the Dikpalaka of the Vayavya direction or the northwest, and then Kubera Ishaha, Kubera of the north, and Ishaha, Lord Shiva himself, of the northeast. So Kubera Isha Patayaha Purvadinam Disham Kramat. So these are the 8 Dikpalakas. So the sun is now moving towards the northern direction from the southern direction. In Sanskrit, these 8 Dikpalakas are also known as Dikpatis. Now this is also facilitated by the issue of the gender of the words. In Sanskrit, the word Dish is Strilinga, and therefore all the Diks are considered Strilinga in Sanskrit, and therefore they are portrayed as feminine, and therefore Dik and Dikpati are presented as the wife and the husband. Now, the sun moving from the southern direction towards the northern direction is, as it were, indicative of or reflective of a man leaving his beloved, so leaving his wife and going towards another woman, as it were. And Kalidasa uses the right word here for the northern direction, namely Kubera Guptam. The word Kubera is significant. Bera means body, Kubera means one who doesn't have a good body, good physique. So Kubera is Mr. Ugly, and therefore Kubera Guptam Disham is the direction that is protected by Kubera. So the sun is moving towards that direction. Ushna Rashmau, so Gantum Pravritte, when the hot sun is going in the direction, Samayam Vilankhya, leaving the proper time. Dig Dakshina, the southern direction, so was now full of sorrow, as it were. Gandhavaham Mukhena Vyalika Nishwasam Evotsa Sarja. She, as it were, sighed in a fit of sorrow because her beloved has moved on towards another lady, as it were. So, therefore, that sigh is showing itself as the Malaya Maruta, the southern breeze that commences at the onset of the spring season. So, Dig Dakshina Gandhavaham Mukhena Vyalika Nishwasamivotsasarja. Sarja. Under that pretext, so Vyalika. Asuta Sadyah Kusman Yashokaha. Then what happened when the spring season began to show its effect there on the forest? What are the effects that are shown there? The Ashoka flower so began to bloom there. Asuta Sadyah Kusuman Yashokaha. It suddenly began to put forth flowers. Skandhat Prabhrityeva Sapallavani. So, right from the trunk of the tree, the flowers are showing themselves, along with the sprouts. Usually the flowers grow on the branches, on the fag end of the branches. Not so here. Sprouts and flowers are seen even on the trunks of the trees. Padena napaikshatha sundarinam samparkam asinjita nuparena. There is also a poetic convention in Sanskrit that when the Ashoka tree doesn't bloom in time, then if charming damsels with their decorated feet kick the tree, it begins to blossom. So Padena, this is called Padaghatad Ashokaha. So this is called Dohada in Sanskrit. So in order to make trees put forth flowers in an artificial manner, when they lose their natural rhythm, there are certain steps that are taken, and this is one, and therefore Kalidasa says that even this was not necessary now. Padena napaikshata sundarinam samparkam asinjita nuparena. The contact with their feet adorned with the anklets, that was no more required now. So on its own, the Ashoka tree all of a sudden burst into flowers. So I have tried to show the flowers here. This is the Ashoka tree putting for the flowers. So the Ashoka flowers are seen here. And then the second effect was on the mango. So Sadyah Pravalodgama Charupatre Nite Samaptim Navachuta Vane Niveshayama Samudurdurephan Namakshirani Manobhavasya. You can see how Kalidasa's imagination waxes eloquent here in this verse. So the fresh mango, that constitutes indeed one of the chief weapons of Manmatha. So that is the bana or the arrow of Manmatha. So Navachuta Bane Samaptim Nite. So when that mango blossom, so Sadyah Pravalodgama Charupatre Nite Samaptim Navachuta Bane. The chuta or the mango is the arrow, and then the the Pravalodgama is the feather of the arrow. The Pravala is the sprout. The sprouts of the mango, they constitute, as it were, the feather of this arrow. Niveshayamasa madur durefan. So the spring then the bees go and sit on those flowers of the mango. Dvirefa is the bees. So they are going and sitting there, and the poet describes this as the signature of Manmatha engraved upon those arrows, namely the mangoes. So every archer would like to have his own signature engraved upon the arrow, and even so here the archer is Manmatha, Manobhava, and his Namaksharani, so his name, the letters of his name have been engraved, as it were, in the form of the bees there. So the bees are dark in color, and they provide a good contrast to the Chuta Bana. So here are some of the mango leaves and blossoms. The mango is very famous, but there are a few vegetations here which are not familiar to all, and therefore I have tried to search for them through the internet. So that picture showed the bee on the mango blossom. And in the songs sung by Meera, most of these are connected with the Vasanta Raga. The last one was Vasanti, The present one is Basant Bahar. The next one is Vasanta. Again, Ananda Bhairavi, Charukeshi, and Bilahari.
सद्यः प्रवालोद्गमचारुपत्रे नीते समाप्तिं नवचूतवाणे निवेशयामास मधुर्द्विरेफान् नामाक्षराणीव मनोभवस्य प्रवालोद्गमचारुपत्रे नवचूतवाणे समाप्तिं नीते मधुः द्विरेफान्निवेशयामास चारुपत्रे प्रवालोद्गमचारुपत्रे नवचूतबाणे समाप्तिं नीते मधुः मनोभवस्य नामाक्षराणीव द्विरेफान्निवेशयामास निवेशयामास मधुर्द्विरेफान् नामाक्षराणीव मनोभवस्य.
In the next verse, he describes the Karnikara flower. Varna prakarshe sati karnikaram. The Karnikara is one which has very strong colors. So, the intense color of Karnikara still did not make one happy, he says. Dunoti nirgandhatayasma chetaha. Chetaha dunoti, it pains one because of its lack of fragrance. Nirgandhataya. So, the flower has flamboyant colors, but then it does not have any good fragrance, and the lack of this good smell is something that one really rues. And Kalidasa says, Prayena samagriya vidhau gunanam paramukhi vishwasrija pravrittihi. Perhaps it is the nature of Lord Brahma. Vishwasrij is Brahma. His nature is that he is averse paramukha. So, to fill in all the gunas in one place. So, each thing must have some plus point, some excellence of its own, but it must also have some shortcoming, as it were. That is why we can never get anything perfect in nature. So, everything in nature has some good qualities, but it may also have some drawbacks and shortcomings and some limitations. So, the Karnikara flower is shown here. This is the Karnikara flower. So, it is a strong color, but then it does not have any good smell. The next is a description of the Palasha. There is a very beautiful poetic description of the Palasha or the Kimshuka. It's called Muttuga in Kannada. So, yeah, these two pictures show the Palasha. So, now the Palasha is a bit crooked and vakra, and crooked like the young moon. So, in the first few days in the Shukla Paksha, you can see the moon who is still just a curve. Balendu vakrani avikasha bhavat, because they were not yet fully blossomed. Babhuv palashani, the palasha flowers, they shone there. Ati lohitani, they are extremely red in color. And this red color of theirs and their be curved. These two facts are beautifully exploited by Kalidasa to present a poetic personified picture of the context. Sadyo vasantena samagatanam nakhakshataniva vanasthalinam. It is as it were, Vasanta, the spring, has made his impact upon the Vanasthali, the regions of the forest. The word Sthali, referred to here as the region, is a word in Strilinga, and therefore that can be imagined as a woman, and Vasanta is the spring is masculine, and therefore Vasanta, the spring, the man who has come to the Vanasthalis or the forest regions, has out of love, as it were, in the context of the union, samagatanam, so nakhakshatani, it is as though they are his nail marks, as it were. A very beautiful and strong imaginative explanation given by Kalidasa, and this has been taken up by many Alankarikas, showing how live his imagination is. We next pass on to, you're going to see that. Yeah.
बालेन्दुवक्राण्यविकाशभावात् बभुः पलाशान्यतिलोहितानि सद्यो वसन्तेन समागतानां नखक्षतानीव वनस्थलीनाम् अविकाशभावात् पलाशानि बालेन्दुवक्राणि अतिलोहितानि वसन्तेन समागतानां वनस्थलीनां बभुः अतिलोहितानि बालेन्दुवक्राणि नखक्षतानीव वनस्थलीनां पलाशानि बभुः.
The play of Vasanta has been sung in the Vasanta Raga. In the next shloka, there is a description of the Tilaka tree, and this Tilaka is the Sesamum indicum tree. So you can show that. The Tilaka flower he is shown here. So now Kalidasa exploits the name of this Tilaka. So Tila or the Tilaka tree. So he exploits the name in a very beautiful manner. This Tilaka is as it were the Tilaka of a woman. Now who is that woman who has the Tilaka, the mark on the forehead? So as her Tilaka, it is Madhushri, or the splendor of the spring. So Madhushri is the woman who has this Tilaka as the Tilaka. Now on her face, Mukha, so she has this Tilakam. So she first puts on this Tilaka, Tilakam Prakashya, so showing forth this Tilaka. So putting on this Tilaka. Then there is an Anjana Bhakti Chitra. Some women, the ways women used to decorate. It is often said that our people are always otherworldly in their concerns. That was never the case. They paid attention to their worldly enjoyments also very, very well, as has been pointed out. See here in this set of verses by Kalidasa. So upon the Tilaka mark, upon the Kunkuma mark, there is this Anjana Bhakti Chitra. So there is a diversification. So by the designs, so variegation by designs, Bhakti Chitra. The word Bhakti has a different meaning here. Bhakti means design here. So Chitra is variegation. So Bhakti Chitra, so is variegation by designs made of the collyrium, Anjana. So what is applied to the eyes. So that is also made here. And therefore, after the tilaka or upon the tilaka, this application of this Anjana to produce various designs, so is also a kind of decoration that women so used to make. And Kalidasa says that while the tilaka flower acted the role of the tilaka here, the beast that was stuck there, Lagnad Virefa, because they are dark in color and therefore they are comparable to the collyrium. So they acted the role of the Anjana Bhakti Chitra, or the variegated mark of the collyrium upon the tilaka. So, and Ragena Balaruna Komalena Chutapravaloshtamalanchakara. And women would also decorate their lips, so with some red color. In this case, for this woman called Madhushri, the Chutapravala or the mango blossom is the oshtha that constitutes her lip. So, which she has now decorated with a red color, Ragena. Raga is red color, which is Balaruna Komalena, which is as tender as the Balaruna, the sun about to rise. So in his youth, so the young Aruna who is about to rise. So as tender a color as that is the color that the Chutapravala or the mango blossom possesses. Thus we can find that there is a beautiful play on words here, the tilaka being the tilaka. So the tilaka number 1 and tilaka number 2. Tilaka 1 as applied to the woman refers to the mark on the forehead, and tilaka 2 is the tilaka tree. So tilaka 1 equals tilaka 2. So similarly, mukha equals mukha, the face of the woman in the first case, and the word mukha also means the commencement of the spring season. So these are equated, and similarly we can see a series of metaphors here, connected metaphors that you can see here. And in the next verse there is a description of the Priyala trees. The Priyala trees have now put forth their flowers and their flowers Druma Manjari. So the bunches of flowers, so they are full of the pollen grain, Rajakkanaihi, and those pollen grains even spill over, and the entire atmosphere is as it were filled with the pollen issuing from the Priyala trees. And the consequence of this is that it is affecting the deer there, Mrigaha Vighnita Drishtipataha. Their sight is affected because it has entered even their eyes. And themselves, the deer are now infatuated with passion, Madodhataha, and they are moving against the wind, Pratyanilam Vicheruhu. So in the forest regions, Vanasthalihi, Marmara Patra Mokshaha, wherein had fallen many leaves, so upon which they are making this rustling sound, Marmara Patra Mokshaha, the rustling sound is issuing from the trees upon which they are trampling and moving about. And while the earlier verses so showed the effect on the plant, the vegetation, the Ashoka, the Chuta or the mango, the Karnikara, and then Palasha and the Tilaka. So in this verse onwards, the effect of the advent of the spring upon the animals is also shown, and therefore on account of the abundance of the pollen issuing from the Priyala trees, the deer moving about have their eyes affected by the pollen, and yet they are very infatuated. They are moving about in the forest regions. In the next verse, there is a description of the cuckoos. The spring season is characterized by cuckoos. Chutankura swada kashaya kantaf pumsko kilo yen madhuram chukuja. It is always the male cuckoo that sings, not the female cuckoo. It is the male peacock that dances, not the female one. So pumsko kilaha, the male cuckoo, yen madhuram chukuja. It sang in a very sweet manner, and its own Kantha, its own voice is affected by Chutankuraswada Kashaya. So, Chutankuraswada by the taste of the mango blossoms, and Manaswini Mana Vighata Daksham Tadeva Jatam Vachanam Sparasya. Kalidasa says that this constituted, as it were, the very voice of Manmatha. So, they are the cuckoos are the mouthpiece of Manmatha, as it were. Smarasya Vachanam Tadeva Jatam, that itself became or acted the role of the words of Manmatha. Manaswini Mana Vighata Daksham. Now, the whole context is so inflammatory of love that even in the case of such women who have quarreled with their husband, so even for them, so they would shed their anger against their husband and would move lovingly towards them. So Manaswini is a woman of pride. So Mana Vighata Daksham. So her sense of pride would be broken down. Vighata Daksham. So capable was this singing of the cuckoo. So Chutankura Swada, the mango birds were tasted by them and infatuated. So maddened, the cuckoos began to sing.
Chutankuraswada Kashaya Kantha Pumskokilo Yanmadhuram Chukoja. Chutankuraswada Kashaya Kantha Pumskokilo Madhuram Chukoja. Manaswini Mana Vighata Daksham Tadeva Jatam Vachanam Smarasya Pumskokilah Madhuram Chukoja. Manaswini Mana Vighata Daksham Tadeva Jatam Vachanam Smarasya.
In the next verse, he gives a description on the Kimpurushas there. So, those Himalayan regions have some special beings called the Kinnaras and Kimpurushas, which have been described even in the opening canto, in the first canto itself. So, what was the effect of this upon them? Because it is the Himalayan region that he is now describing. So, Himavyapayat, now because the sudden shift of season, all snow is gone now. Himavyapayat Vishadadharanam Apandari Bhuta Mukhacchavinam Svedodgamah Kimpurushangananam. Kimpurushanganas are the wives of the Kinnara ladies. So, because of the exit of the cold season, their lips have now become very clear. So, as we all experience, for example, in extreme cold, our lips break, as it were, and so they are never smooth during that season, and therefore now they have become Vishada Adharanam. So their lower lip, their nether lips have now become pretty clear, and the effect is there even on their face also. Apandari Bhuta Mukhacchavinam. Even the Kashmir ladies are very fair in color, and much more so must be the Kinnara women. So Apandari Bhuta, grown very white. So Mukhacchavi, is the brightness of the face of the Kinnara ladies there. So the Kinnaras and the Kimpurushas are said to be sort of demigods between human beings and gods. So they are also called Devayoni. So Svedodgamaha, now because of the sun moving northwards, so there is much of heat there and therefore they are sweating a little. Svedodgamaha Kimpurushankananam Chakram Pade Patra Visheshakeshu. And if that spoiled the Patra Visheshaka, he says. Patra Visheshakas are the kinds of decorations made on the body by drawing some lines and pictures by their lovers, and therefore the Kinnara men had drawn some pictures on the person of the Kinnara ladies, and those colors etc. they are now giving way because of the arising of the Sweda or sweat. And the net effect of all this, Kalidasa now draws our attention to what happened to the sages there. Shiva is not the only person who is performing tapas. The entire Himalayan region is a place which is highly appreciated for tapas, and people believe that even to this day there should be many ascetics performing tapas there. And tapasvinaha, the tapasvins there in the Himalayan region, sthanu manaukasaha. So Himalayan is a vast region, and the particular place where Lord Shiva or Sthanu was performing tapas is called Sthanu Vanaukas. So the forest region which has been made their home. Okas in Sanskrit means home, as in Greek. So Sthanu Vanaukasaha, the sylvan regions that belong to Shiva or the forest regions chosen by Shiva for tapas, is also a region where many more ascetics used to perform tapas, because naturally Shiva would have chosen a place which would be very conducive to tapas, and many ascetics also occupied nearby regions and they used to perform their tapas there. Tam akalikim vikshya madhupravrittim, they were puzzled by this sudden onset of the spring out of season. So the spring season coming out of season. Akalikim madhu pravrittim vikshya prayatna samstambhita vikriyanam kathanchidishaha manasam babhuhu. Their manas or mind began to show a good deal of vikaras or corruptions of mind. So there are many changes in the mind, many perturbations, getting thoughts which they would not wish to have. So thoughts they would never like to entertain. Even such thoughts began to make way into the mind of the ascetics there. So this is all the effect of the environment upon the individual. So there is a constant interaction between the individual and the environment, and the effect of the new environmental situation upon the minds of the sages is described here. And it was with very great effort, prayatna. So it's not just yatna, but prayatna, prakrishta yatna. So with extraordinary efforts it was that they could, samstambhana is bringing to a halt. So bringing to a halt their vikriyas. Vikriya is vikara or vikriti or change. So the very many sudden changes that happened in their mind, so had to be brought under control. And this is not an easy thing for them, and they had to put forth extra effort. As it is very difficult to control the mind, and even those who are used to that, so even they felt, because of the suddenness of this change, there is this change. So people who are sensitive to the inner states of mind, it is only they who can sense so how any change in the environment so can affect them, their tapas and their meditation and so on. And therefore Kalidasa says it was with very great effort that they could control their mind. So kathanchit ishaha manasam babhuhu. So becoming an isha over the manas. The word isha in Sanskrit means a ruler. So manasam ishaha, those who rule their own mind. So that they could be kathanchit babhuhu. It's only somehow with some very great effort. So it is almost indescribable that they had to control their own mind.
तपस्विनः स्थाणुवनौकसः तामाकालिकीं वीक्ष्य मधुप्रवृत्तिं प्रयत्नसंस्थम्भितविक्रियाणां कथञ्चिदेषा मनसां बभूवुः वनौकसः स्थाणुवनौकसः तपस्विनस्तामाकालिकीं वीक्ष्य मधुप्रवृत्तिम् आकालिकीं मधुप्रवृत्तिं वीक्ष्य प्रयत्नसंस्तम्भितविक्रियाणां कथञ्चिदेषाः मनसां बभूवुः तपस्विनः कथञ्चित् मनसामीशा बभूवुः.
In his Abhigyana Shakuntalam, Kalidasa makes a beautiful statement. So when we see beautiful sceneries, Ramyani Vikshya, or listen to very melodious singing, Madhuramshcha Nishamya Shabdan, we somehow develop a sort of a longing. Paryutsukhi bhavati, we become a bit restless. Yet sukhito bhijantu, even though we are in a total state of happiness. So in spite of our happiness around, there is some restlessness that is felt. So when we behold beautiful sceneries or listen to very delectable music, so that's what Kalidasa says. So such effects on the auditory and the visual brought out by Kalidasa so very well. And he says that's also perhaps because we remember some past associations, even of past births, he says. So, Ramyani Vikshya Madhuramshcha Nishamya Shabdan Paryutsiki Bhavati Yat Sukhitopi Jantuhu Tachetasa Smarati Nonam Abodha Purvam Bhavasthirani Jananantara Sauhridani. So, our own former associations and loves of previous births are, as it were, aroused on account of that, says Kalidasa. So, similarly here, because of the stirring of the mind, there is a sort of a churning that is experienced by the sages, and therefore to bring their mind to a standstill was something that could be attained with great difficulty by the sages, says Kalidasa. So after hinting at what happened to the sages, Kalidasa once again continues the effect of the advent of the madhu or the spring upon the various animals there once again. So tam desham aropita pushpa chape ratidvitiye madane prapane, when Manmatha had arrived there along with Rati, so his wife, aropita pushpa chape, so his flowery bow is now all set. Kasthagata sneha rasana vidham dvandvani bhavam kriyaya vivabruhu. So even the animals there, so they began to show their feelings of love. So immense love and intense love was experienced by them. Kasthagata means at a peak. Sneha rasana vidham bhavam. So the Shringara bhava, so which is actuated by the sneha rasa, the feeling of love. So that was evinced by their actions. Kriyaya vivavruhu. So the pairs of animals, dvandvani. So Kriyaya vivavruhu. So they brought it forth, they set it forth through their actions. So the feeling of love is something that is deep inside the heart and therefore not visible. And it's only through actions that we infer what is in the heart, and that's how things have becoming evident here. So this is illustrated by the effect upon two living beings here. One is upon the bees and the other is upon the deer. Madhudvirepha kusumaika patre papau priyam swam anuvartamanaha. So the bee began to drink the honey in the flowers. So madhu papau, the bee drank the honey. So dvirepaha is the bee. Kusumaika patre, in the same cup. Kusumameva ekam patram. So in the single cup. So it's not that the male bee and the female bee are enjoying the nectar of the flowers. So in different flowers, no. So it is in the self same flower as the she bee is drinking, that the male bee is also sucking and drinking the honey of the flower. Madhudvirepaha kusumaika patre papau priyam swam anuvartamanaha. So ensuing what his beloved did. So we say in English, what is sauce for goose is sauce for the gander. So what is dear to the female is dear to the male. It's something like this, that what the she bee did, the male bee also did. So priyam swam anuvartamanaha, following suit, the male bee drank the nectar of the flower from the self same flower as the female bee was sucking from. And secondly, the effect on the deer was that Shringena cha sparsha nimilitakshim mrgim akunduyata krishnasaraha. The dark antelope, so it rubbed against the female deer. So mrgim akanduyata krishnasaraha, with his horn, Shringena cha. And that touch was so enjoyable by the female deer that the female deer, the doe, had closed her eyes, nimilitakshim, on account of the pleasure of the touch. Sparsha nimilitakshim mrgim akanduyata krishnasara. So this shloka shows how there was the effect upon the bees and upon the deer. So Bhoja Shringar Prakasha says, Darshita Kalidasena Prema Samsthana Paddhati. The ways of love showing itself even upon animals, even in the case of animals, is been described by Kalidasa here.
मधुद्विरेफः कुसुमैकपात्रे पपौ प्रियां स्वाम् अनुवर्तमानः. कुसुमैकपात्रे द्विरेफः मधुपपौ प्रियां स्वाम् अनुवर्तमानो द्विरेफः कुसुमैकपात्रे मधुपपौ शृङ्गेण च स्पर्शनिमीलिताक्षीं मृगीम् अकण्डूयत कृष्णसारः. शृङ्गेण अकण्डूयत कृष्णसारः. मृगीं स्पर्शनिमीलिताक्षीं स्पर्शनिमीलिताक्षीं कृष्णसारः अकण्डूयत. मृगीम् अकण्डूयत कृष्णसारः.
the effect upon the the elephant and upon the Chakravaka birds is described in this verse. The she elephant Karenuhu Gajaya Dadau, so it gave the male elephant Gandusha Jalam, the mouthful of water. So it had taken some water from the pond and it is offering that water which she has drawn from the pond to her male counterpart Gajaya. So, and this is on account of the deep love, rasat, out of deep love, the female elephant is offering the male elephant, and the waters themselves are very fragrant, gandhi, on account of the pollen of the lotuses there, pankaja renu gandhi. So it is so fragrant. Gajaya gandush jalam karenuhu, and the Chakravaka birds are also showing their love. And how is that? So the Chakravaka bird is offering the lotus stalk. Bisa is the lotus stalk, which is half eaten. So the Chakravaka bird has eaten one half of the lotus stalk and ardhopa bhuktena, and the remaining half it is offering to her husband to eat. Sambhava jayam, the male is offering to the female, jayam sambhavayamasa rathanganama. Rathanganama is the Chakravaka bird, so it's making that offer. Another verse describes the kinnaras enjoying the season. Gitantareshu shamavarileshaihi, they are very famous for singing, the kinnaras are, and therefore while they are singing, so Shamavarileshaihi kinchit samuchvasita patralekham pushpasavaghurnita netrashobhi priyamukham kim purushaha chuchumba. They are also known for their enjoyments, and therefore the Kim Purusha so kissed the face of his beloved Priyamukham Chuchumba, and her face was very attractive. Kalidasa says Shobhi, on account of her reeling eye, the eye is reeling, Ghurnita Netra, on account of the Pushpasava that she had, the drink that she had taken, so which was made of the nectar of flowers, Pushpasava, and even that once again she would sing and he would wait for her singing to come to a halt. So in between two songs, Gitantareshu, so he would kiss her. Shamavarileshaihi kinchit smuchvasita patralekham. Once again the patralekha, or the decoration upon the person of the kinras was being affected by the Shamavarileshaihi, by the water drops of the sweat issuing. And Kalidas also describes in another verse how not only these animals or evolved beings that are showing the sense of love, even the trees and plants show this emotion. So in Sanskrit, the gender of the words comes in very handy. The word lata is feminine in Sanskrit, and therefore lata is, the creepers are shown as feminine, and then the trees, the tarus, so the taru is masculine in Sanskrit, the trees are masculine, and latas and creepers are feminine, and therefore lata vadhubhyaha, so the brides in the form of the creepers, taravaha, the trees, the masculine, avapuhu bhuja bandhanani, they received their embraces. So it is as though the creepers moved towards the trees and embraced the trees by entwining. Vinamra shakha bhuja bandhanani, so avapuhu. So the trees themselves would bow down a little, and the creepers would encircle the branches of the trees, and the comparison of the creepers to the brides is extended in a very beautiful manner. Kalidasa says the abundance of the bunches of flowers, so itself constituted the breast of the lata vadhus, paryapta pushpas stavakas tanabhyaha, and sphurat pravaloshtha manoharabhyaha, and the shining sprouts in the creepers themselves looked like the lips of beautiful damsels. Oshtha Manoharabhyah. So thus even the trees there got their share of love from the dames called the latas or the creepers. So in this manner. Now as regards Shiva, what effect did this have upon Shiva? So he did listen to the Apsaras ladies singing Shrutapsaro Geetirapi Kshanesmin. At this moment Harah Prasankhyanā Paro Babhuva. So Shiva was there, so very well established in his dhyana and in his tapas. So all of this did not disturb him. While it is said that a number of sages did experience some disturbance and distraction of their mind, that is not applicable in the case of Lord Shiva, the master of yogis. So we know that Krishna is known as Yogeshwara and Lord Shiva is known as Yogishwara. So he is the king of yogis, and that is why Kalidasa says Atmeshwaranam nahi jatu vignaha samadhi bheda prabhavo bhavanti. Now such impediments, yoga vignas, so they would not samadhi bheda prabhavaha. Prabhu means capable. So prabhavaha means capable. Vignaha prabhavaha nabhavanti. They do not become capable in destroying the samadhi or concentration of those who have a thorough control over their own minds. Atmeshwaranam. The word Atma sometimes means manas, and therefore for those who have controlled their mind thoroughly, Atmeshwaranam nahi jati vignaha samadhi bheda prabhavo bhavanti. And therefore the lesser mortals, even the great sage, many sages themselves would be affected in the sense that they would find it more and more difficult to focus their mind and concentrate, and that was a struggle for them. But in the case of Shiva, that was not to be the case. And at this moment, Nandi, who is as it were the PA of Lord Shiva, so he noticed that there were very many changes that were taking place all around. So Lata Griha Dwara Gatotha Nandi, Nandi who was standing at the spot of the entrance of the Lata Griha wherein was Shiva performing his tapas, Vamaprakoshtarpita Hema Vetraha. So he was holding a cane, so a danda. So Vetra is a cane, Hema Vetra, a golden cane. So that he was holding in his right hand, that would be the normal way of holding that. But now he kept it on his left hand. So he held it by his left hand, Vamaprakoshtarpita Hema Vetraha, and he signaled to the Ganas of Shiva. So Ganan Vyanaishit. So he ordered them. So Ma Chapalaya, saying, so show no fickleness of mind. So control yourselves. So Mukharpita Ikanguli Samjnaya Eva. So he did not do that by means of so many words, but on the other hand by a signal, by this body language, namely the Anguli Samjna, by the indication through his finger. So the finger put on his face, Mukharpita Eka Anguli. So one finger upon his face, upon his mouth. So that very with that very signal he indicated to them, so control yourself. So Ma Chapalaya iti. So Ganan Vinaishi. There is a beautiful verse in Sanskrit, so wherein the poet Jagannatha Pandita boasts of himself. He says, I compose poetry and other poets also compose poetry. It is like Shiva dancing and other Bhutaganas also dancing. So the Bhutaganas are very famous for their chapala and for their various chestas, and therefore he is disciplining them. So there is also a discipline for others. When you discipline the biggest rowdy in the class, okay, that is a lesson for all others. They will themselves keep quiet. So in the next verses, Kalidasa describes those effects. So this shloka, Lata Grihadwara Gatotha Nandi Vamaprakoshtarpita Hema Vetraha.
लता गृहद्वारगतोऽथ नन्दी वामप्रकोष्ठार्पित हेमवेत्रः मुखार्पितैकाङ्गुलिसंज्ञयैव मा चापलायेति गणान्व्यनैषीत् अथ नन्दीं लतागृहद्वारगतो वामप्रकोष्ठार्पितहेमवेत्रः मुखार्पित एकाङ्गुलिसंज्ञयैव मा चापलाय इति गणान्व्यनैषीत् नन्दी संज्ञया व्यनैषीत् एकाङ्गुलिसंज्ञया व्यनैषीत् गणान् नन्दी मा चापलाय इति व्यनैषीत्.
We will conclude now, but I must tell you that hereafter Manmatha enters the penance grove of Lord Shiva and beholds the beauty and grandeur of Lord Shiva's tapas. So don't miss the next session when there is a beautiful description of the tapas of Lord Shiva. Two most charming pieces in Kalidasa's poetry, in Kumarasambhava in particular, are the tapas of Lord Shiva, so which we will encounter in the next session, and the tapas of Parvati, which we encounter in the 5th canto. So please don't miss the next session, and you are welcome to inform those who are interested in Kalidasa's Kumarasambhava. Namaskar. Thank you. Sorry I have taken a little more time today. Namaskar.